Welcome back. When the Jewish people returned to Zion after 70 years of Babylonian captivity, it was a major turning point in the history of Israel. But there hadn't been a whole lot of archaeological evidence from that period until now. Our good friend Ze'ev Orenstein from the city of David joins us with the inside story. Take a look. Well, Ze'ev, thanks so much for joining us here on The Watchman. It is always great to have you.
Always great to be with you, Eric.
Yeah, and you've always got a great archaeological find or discovery from the city of David in Jerusalem to share with us. Now, today is breaking. I mean, this discovery was just announced, number one. And number two, Ze'ev, it's from a period, a very crucial period in biblical history that we don't hear much about in an archaeological sense, the period when the Jewish people returned from the Babylonian exile back to Jerusalem.
Archaeologists, when it comes to the story of the return to Zion, you have the Babylonian destruction in 586 BCE, the destruction of the Temple of Solomon, the exile of the Jewish people from Jerusalem to Babylon. They're exiled for, the Bible tells us, 70 years. And then there's the period of the return to Zion under the leadership of Zerubbabel and others. And they come back, and really Jerusalem is in a sorry state. And it goes on like that for a number of years until the time of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the cupbearer to the king of Persia. Now, you might say, the cupbearer, what's the big deal about that? It's just the guy who brings the king his wine. But in ancient times, the cupbearer was not just the person who brought the wine. The cupbearer was the official that the king trusted most in the whole kingdom. Why? Because this was the person who would be responsible for giving the king his glass of wine. If there was ever a plot that someone had against the king, it was up to the cupbearer to know about it. So Nehemiah has a very important role. He learns about the destruction of Jerusalem and the sorry state of Jerusalem that's taking place from one of the residents of Jerusalem, who goes all the way out to Persia to inform Nehemiah about the situation. Nehemiah asks permission of the king to go to Jerusalem, and it describes in the beginning of the book of Nehemiah really the dilapidated state of Jerusalem, how foxes were running through the buildings, and really there was no one living there. And of course, the Jerusalem in the time of Nehemiah is not the old city of Jerusalem. We're talking about the city of David. But from an archaeological perspective, there was very little evidence of the return to Zion of that time, of the Persian influence of Jerusalem, the administrative influence in Jerusalem at that time, until a discovery that was announced literally just this week.
Breaking news.
Breaking news for the Watchman, where two seals found in a building dating back to the period of the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem, but which had been re-inhabited during the Persian period. Two seals, Persian period seals, which show the administrative influence of Persia in Jerusalem, confirming the biblical account, of course, of Nehemiah being the governor sent on behalf of Persia to rule Jerusalem. And of course, it says in the book of Nehemiah that in 52 days, Nehemiah rebuilds the walls around Jerusalem. So these seals are going back to the very, very early period of that return to Zion, of the beginning of the rebuilding of Jerusalem. It's not Herod's Jerusalem with all its glory from 2,000 years ago. This is something of a small beginnings that would lead to something great down the road. But it's really up until this discovery, this period, the period of the return to Zion, the period of Nehemiah, was what archaeologists refer to as a black hole. And that is beginning to be filled in the city of David.
And hey, Cyrus, the Persian emperor at the time, the Persian king, issued a decree to send the Jewish people back to Zion, a pivotal event in the Bible. So to see evidence of that come to light, I think is really stunning, right?
It's amazing. Nehemiah is known for rebuilding Jerusalem. We've discovered part of his wall. The declaration allowing the Jewish people to return to Zion. We have the Cyrus cylinder in the British Museum in London. We have these seals now discovered in the city of David, affirming the Persian rule of Jerusalem during the time of Nehemiah. And you put all of this together, and it comes back to something that I've said many a time, really two things. One is that when you're in the place where the Bible happened, the words of the Bible come to life. And at the same time, there are still those out there who are denying our shared heritage in Jerusalem, the biblical heritage of Jerusalem. And as we see from these discoveries and so many others, that our shared connection to Jerusalem is not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact.
Hey, last question. I think the place where these finds emanated from, the Givati parking lot excavation. Now, people might say, that's a weird name, a parking lot. What do you mean? Before you go, could you tell us real quick what that Givati parking lot excavation is at the city of David and kind of the background and how it came to be maybe the most exciting spot in all of Jerusalem in terms of archaeology today?
We wanted to build our visitor center there in the city of David, and the Israel Antiquities Authority said, well, hold on, before you build anything, we need to make sure there's nothing significant from an archaeological perspective beneath the parking lot. So they come with ground penetrating radar and they scan and they come back to us and say, there are more than 10 layers of ancient Jerusalem civilization located beneath the parking lot. So today it's no longer a parking lot, and our visitor center isn't there either. In fact, it's actually the location of one of the largest active excavations in Jerusalem today, where we've uncovered more than 10 layers of ancient Jerusalem civilization, going all the way back to the First Temple period, through the Second Temple period, and onward. And it's really an amazing place with so many incredible finds.
Unbelievable, Ze'ev. Hey, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. We know you will be back soon because it seems every other week that there's some groundbreaking new archaeological discovery at the city of David where you do such great work. So, Ze'ev, thank you, my friend. We will see you again soon.
Looking forward to it.